Hey guys, it's Dr. Nate here with Thrive Dental and Orthodontics, and what I want to do is I want to answer some of the questions that we've been getting, especially in the comments sections below. And today is going to mainly focus on, should I become an orthodontist, or is becoming an orthodontist for me? And then secondly, does it really matter where I go to school to become an orthodontist or to become a dentist? So first off, let me start by talking about, is becoming an orthodontist right for you? And that's not just like a yes or no question. That is obviously a little bit more involved in this. So the biggest things, or a couple of questions I always ask people if they're asking me this, is I would say, what type of person are you? Are you one of those people who are kind of like introverted, don't really want to talk to people? Are you one of those people who is like extroverted, wants to talk to people, wants to interact with people? And if you're more towards that, the extroverted, I would say, hey, this is a potential for you. Because with ortho, you are interacting with a lot of people, a lot of patients. So if you don't really enjoy that, it's going to be a tough go when you actually become an orthodontist. The other thing is, whenever I'm talking to people about this, I always want to know, well, number one, I want to know how old they are and what stage of life they are. Because I get this a lot from actually high school students, especially lately. And they're like, hey, should I become an orthodontist? I really want to know my career path. I really want to know exactly what I want to do. And I always tell them I had no idea until I got into maybe my second or third year of undergrad in college. My dad's a physician, so I thought I was going to go the medical route. And it wasn't until, my second or third year where I kind of figured out, hey, maybe medicine's not for me and maybe dentistry is more what I wanted. And my parents weren't exactly super excited about that initially, but now obviously they're very happy. But what I also say to people who are in high school or first, second year of undergrad or college, I always tell them to do the best you possibly can in school. If you do that, then you have all the options. If you do not do that, then you have very, very few options. So yes, you always have to keep your grades up. If you keep your grades and you're getting A's and you're doing well, then you can do whatever you want. If you're getting B's, C's, D's, and all that other stuff, then you may not have many options, so it won't even matter. Another thing is I go, hey, if you're in the position to, try to shadow as much as you can. Try to shadow a dentist, try to shadow an orthodontist, try to shadow an engineer, try to shadow a physician. Kind of shadow these different people and see if it is right for you. Before I did dentistry, I was able to shadow a dentist. And that's what kind of drew me in. I was like, hey, this is a cool job. I can do this. It has regular hours. You can be your own boss, which I really, really like, and which actually is not for everybody because I've kind of explained this in other videos, but being your own boss has its goods and bads. It is way more than a 9-to-5. 40 hours a week does not exist if you are your own boss, but it's super, super fulfilling, and that's why I love it. So of course, when people are asking me this, they're kind of want to know the finances, which totally makes sense. If you're doing this for the rest of your life, you want to know how your finances are going to be. And I'm going to tie that into the next question a little bit on if it matters what school you're going to. So yeah, so does it matter what school you're going to? This is a great question too, because there's hundreds of schools. I went to school in Southern California, the University of Southern California, and at the time I think there was 3 dental schools. Now there's a 4th, and I heard there's gonna be a 5th now. So there's a lot of dental schools popping up, which obviously means the more dentists you have specifically in a specific area, the more competition there's gonna be for those particular jobs, and that probably means you can be making just a little bit less. But finances always come into play. So the school I went to was probably one of the most expensive schools in the country. And I think I got a great education. I love my school. I think it's amazing. I think everything about it is great. But is it worth the extra money that you put into it? That I'm not totally sure about, because I know people that went to other schools that probably paid a half or a third of what I did, and they still got a great education as well. The other thing is I don't know if I maybe 1% of the time have been asked where I went to school. I know probably some people look it up online and make sure that I went to a good accredited school, but it's so rarely asked to me, so that's why I don't necessarily feel like, hey, going to these more prestigious schools necessarily help. That being said, you do get great networking because you're surrounded by all these amazing people that have amazing networks, so that helps as well. But as far as do I think it's necessarily financially worth it to go to these, a little bit more expensive schools because they're going to be such a better education, I'm not so sure about that, particular for orthodontics. It could be different for, if you're doing business and you're really, really, really relying on those networking opportunities, not so much with orthodontics. Keep in mind though, when you're going to these other schools, you're not going to be paying out of pocket. There's going to be different programs that are going to help you, and we've got that question as well. What do you do when you're in residency? Are you just are you working? Do they pay you? And in orthodontics, it is rare. I don't know if there's actually any school that pays you to go to their program, unless you're maybe in the Army or Navy or something like that. So you do not get paid. So you are basically still living on a student budget, just trying to kind of scrape by, maybe working or moonlighting on the weekends or at nights or sometimes just to kind of get that little bit of cash. But yes, you're basically a starving student. And so that kind of brings me around full circle to the first question: is it worth it to become an orthodontist? And I think it is absolutely worth it, but that is me. You have to take a lot of things into consideration. I didn't waste. I went to school for 12 years. So for those 12 years, if I was really business savvy, I could have made a business, I could have been working, I could be building up your net worth, and 12 years is a long time. So if you had a great business, potentially after those 8, 10, 12 years, you'd have a flourishing business. Whereas when you come out of orthodontics, you're just starting off, you're just trying to kind of make it. The good thing with ortho is as soon as you start, you're making a pretty good wage. But yeah, you did miss out on those 12 years. You could have been working or could have been building your own business. The other reason I love ortho, and this is absolutely not for everybody, and I mentioned this earlier, is that you can be your own boss. And that has a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages. The advantages are, you can run your own business, you can do financially well if you set it up properly, you can kind of determine your own schedule. The other issues are you have to run your own business, and that takes a lot of effort. And so that takes, planning, it takes employees, it takes having good people surrounding you, and that takes definitely more than 40 hours a week when you initially start. When you kind of get more established, if you run things properly, you can kind of ease away from the business and still have a profitable business, but that definitely does not happen for everybody. So that's what I'd say. I'd say, hey, should you become an orthodontist? If you ask me personally, I would say yes, but that takes a lot of different questions before you get to that answer. Where do you see yourself in the future? What type of lifestyle do you want? Do you love education? Do you love being around people? Do you want to have your own business? And then I'd say, hey, if they go, cool, it doesn't matter what school I go to, I'd go, hey, what is your purpose? Are you trying to network really well? Do you want to be in a specific location? So maybe going to that specific school is good because you want to stay in that location. Or are you only concerned with finances? And if you're only concerned with finances, then maybe you should go to state school, which is a little bit more affordable. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers a couple questions. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, I love answering these things. So just leave them below, and please subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.